What is going on, guys? Coach Happy here to bring you some more tips and tricks on your jiu-jitsu journey and ultimately better your life all around day by day. So today we're going to be talking about 3 myths that are going to be debunked for jiu-jitsu. If you are just now getting into it, or maybe you have been in a few weeks and you came in with some preconceived thoughts or ideas from other people, from TV, I'm going to name 3 that I've seen, and actually one that Tony, my husband, brought to my attention when he first started that I thought would be really helpful to you guys. So the first one that is on our list is that you need to be in shape or close to being in shape to start jiu-jitsu or to be really good at it. Now, being in shape is really helpful for anything you're going to do that's going to be exerting energy, right? But when it comes to jiu-jitsu, I will say that the cardio and the technique and the style is very different. So for example, I've always been an athlete. I've always enjoyed soccer, basketball. I played both of them growing up all the way out through high school and graduating. And then I started doing the gym and weightlifting and still doing sprints and runs on the side. Nothing compares to cardio and getting in shape in jiu-jitsu. And most people will agree with that just because it is very different and you're using so much of your mind and brain as well. So it's a whole different ball game. But that's not to say that you can't join wanting to get into shape or wanting to actually get rid of bad habits. And one example is a few of my good guy friends have come in and they were smokers and drinkers, and nothing wrong with drinking, and enjoying, but when it starts to become a serious vice or something that causes you to have issues within your family, that can change, right? And so anyway, with the smoking, they realized really quickly how bad it was for them because they couldn't get through warm-ups. It was a very harsh reality check, but it didn't mean that they had to quit, doing jiu-jitsu, but they did realize how hard it would be to advance by, continuing to smoke, and they actually decided to quit smoking, and they have totally stopped. Now, was it hard? Yes, but they had some healthy accountability. They had people checking in on them. They had good support within our jiu-jitsu family. And then on top of that, they just knew how painful it was to be a smoker and try to get through jiu-jitsu. But you don't have to come in the best shape of your life, or, at your peak shape, or having lost 10 pounds or 20 pounds and then starting. What you really need to do is go in with a mindset that it will be tough, but it's tough either way. You save yourself a lot of exhaustion and throwing up if you come in, in somewhat good shape, but it's not going to make or break anything because everybody's on their own journey. What you need to see and realize is, is this something that you're willing to commit to, and are you willing to go through the hoops of feeling exhausted, fatigue, soreness over time like anything else? But then once you get the hang of it, you'll know how you need to respond and what you need to do to be at your peak. That's with any activity in any sport. But you don't have to come in already being in shape or already having lost all the weight. Does it help? Of course, but it doesn't mean you wait until a perfect time, because there is no perfect time. The second thing that I'm going to bring up that's a myth that is going to be debunked is that weight and strength doesn't matter. Now, this is something that I came in questioning, and I had seen it, I had heard it before, and in a sense I agree with it, because technique and pressure really matters in jiu-jitsu, timing. But the reason that they have weight ranks in tournaments is because it can influence how somebody does jiu-jitsu and what they do to you. So I would say it's not totally accurate. If somebody is going against me and they're 350 pounds or 400 pounds or 200 pounds, it's going to be a completely different game than somebody I go with that's 100 pounds. And so it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. What it means is it's going to be really different, and sometimes it's going to play a huge factor and you're not going to realize it. And that's one thing that's also empowering. So once you learn jiu-jitsu and once you get really good at knowing timing and technique and pressure points and holding and knowing when to transition, that will actually really become helpful when you are working with people that are far heavier than you or stronger than you, because I can't always stay on the bottom if I'm going with somebody that's way stronger than me, and I've realized that. But what I have understood after all these years is if I can cling to them, get to their back, or find things that are really annoying that I can try to shut down or at least distract, that helps my game incredibly. But weight and strength can in fact play a role And so if you go in just blindsided saying like, oh, it doesn't matter, oh, it's not a big deal, or you only focus like, oh, they're so much bigger than me, they're so much heavier, you're gonna miss out. The beauty of jiu-jitsu, you have to kind of go in with a clear, open mind of saying, I need to work on these things for myself, these are my weak spots, these are things that I know I'm really good in, so I can build on top of that. But you want to make sure that you're not getting so involved in your head, looking at somebody's weight, strength, all these things that they're physically showing you, because that can kind of mess with your head. And that was something that really messed with me in the beginning. I saw girls or guys in shape, and I immediately downplayed like my effectiveness or my skill or learning ability. Like, oh, they're so good, like I'm just not going to be able to do it. Oh, they're so good, like why try, you know? And I feel like I missed out on a lot because I did do that. You want to be observant, you want to be aware of what's happening, but you don't want to make it to where you blind or discourage yourself, thinking that just because of how they look or how much they weigh is going to completely affect everything. So it does matter, just be careful. Don't put so much weight on that myth or on that idea than it deserves, because it's inevitable that it's going to kind of come across in your head. You know, organize your thoughts, look at the person, look at yourself, be aware, be wise, but don't let it discourage you from trying new things and rolling with new people. And the last myth or topic that we're going to be bringing up that you might think about when starting jiu-jitsu is that higher ranks are doing something completely different, mind-blowing, that like you're just never going to be able to attain. This is something that Tony actually brought to my attention because we were talking about it, and he said, you know, I would look at upper belts and be like, they're doing all these crazy things I had no idea were even possible. Like I doubt I'm going to get to that, you know, that's so crazy. And you kind of are just mind blown and thinking that it's just not going to happen, or it's not going to happen for like 15 years. And it's funny because when we were talking about it, I mean, I'm 8 years in and he's like 6.5 years in or something like that in training. And the main difference is, yes, time and consistency, but they're doing a lot of simple, basic things that you and I do in training. They've just gotten really good at it. Very, very, very specific to what they need to do, their game, understanding the timing, technique. So it's really not super mind-blowing of what they're doing, it's how good they've become at whatever skill that they're trying to attain in jiu-jitsu. And it is true, because I remember thinking like, oh, I'm never going to get to that, that's crazy, you know, or oh, it's because they're black belts. It's like, no, they're actually doing very simple things, they're just doing it extremely well. And so you have to think like the only real difference between you and people that are far more advanced is time and practice and honing in on skills. And you can do the exact same thing. So I think it's a myth in a sense where they're doing something that's outstanding that nobody else can do. Well, a lot of times people can do it, and jiu-jitsu evolves over time. It's going to continue to change, and so you have to be aware of that and understand that you're not far behind. You just have to continue down those steps and continue to see what you're good at and what you're able to execute. And that black belt will someday be you if you keep going, if you keep working on your skill and your discipline, your consistency. So that's one thing that I think both of us related to when we were talking about it, because when you're just starting, you're looking at people that have been far ahead of you, 10 years, 12 years down the line, maybe more, if they took breaks, and you're just mind blown by the fact that they can do all these crazy things and they're so good at it. And that's important for you to see it, because it is hard to get to. It takes a lot of consistency, but it's not something that you can't do either, and that should be encouraging. You just keep showing up, hone in on what you're good at, what you feel like you can execute well, and then sharpen it every time that you're there. Be very intentional with how you're training, and you know, soon enough you'll be at that same place and someone will be looking up to you wondering how you got there. So I hope that's encouraging. And like I said, these are things that we wish we knew going into jiu-jitsu. Starting off, there's a lot of things out there, and it's things that we really wish we had a better understanding of when we had our first day on the mat. So I hope that's helpful. What was one thing that you first learned when you started jiu-jitsu within the first few months that you were mind blown about. Let me know down in the comments. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. If you have other videos or questions that you'd like me to show and share, make sure to also put that in the comments. I appreciate all the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.